come on. A chief engineer for the bridge should only have his name on the plaque. There are big plaques as we get on the bridge and his name's on there. Why isn't that enough? Why do we get this big statue? Well, I'm here to explain to you why. He deserves the statue. A couple good reasons. In the early 1920s, it was determined that we needed a bridge. Way back in the early 20s. And the engineer for the city and county of San Francisco was kind of pressured into putting out requests throughout the country and world to request proposals for people who could build the bridge. And he laughed as he did so, because it's a pretty rough opening in a mountain range and a dangerous place to build a bridge. And he thought it would be too expensive, that maybe somebody would suggest that they could build it for $250 million, which would have been laughable in 1921 or 2. But he put out the proposal, and guess who responded from Chicago? This guy. Joseph Strauss was working in Chicago with his firm, and he sent a proposal with a drawing and said, I can build this for about $22 million. So that's one reason to get the statue, but I'll tell you the real reason is what he did for the next 10 years. Because between when he submitted the proposal in the early 20s and 1933, when they started building the bridge, that's like over 10 years. What he did earns him the statue, because this bridge, not federally funded. The Bay Bridge, federally funded. This bridge, no. State funded, no. Got to get money to build a bridge. How are we going to do it? And what he did was go up north of here, all the way up to the state of Oregon, and went to meetings in little towns throughout those counties and said, you need to connect yourself to the major city of San Francisco, and you need this bridge to be economically successful. And after meeting after meeting after meeting, the people went to the ballot box and voted yes on a bond issue. So all those counties up there, many of them supported the idea, some did not, and he made it happen. So for giving 10 years of his life to conduct all those meetings, yay, Mr. Strauss. You can tell he's a little short.
I was going to say, he looks short.
He looks short.
Yeah.
He was short, and there's a very bad cliche that I'm making worse by mentioning it, that short men have big egos. That's not fair, but it's true in his case. Mr. Strauss had an ego, and so when one of the engineers he brought with him from Illinois was getting too much attention, he said, Charles Ellis was his name. Mr. Ellis, you're off of this project. Go back home to Chicago. And unfortunately, Charles Ellis was doing lots of important work on the bridge. And the good news is he continued to do it from Chicago. And he communicated not with Mr. Strauss, but everybody else. And he helped with the tension, the stress factors, the mathematical computations that were so critical to having a safe bridge. So Charles Ellis does not have his name on the plaque, thanks to this man. But a few years ago, the Bridge District decided that was an omission, and he has his own plaque now. So later on the tour, I'm going to point out the Charles Ellis plaque for you to see and give him the honor he deserves. Mr. Strauss worked hard on the project, and then when it was over, he moved to Los Angeles and died. This was his last project, his biggest project. Good way to go out, I think. Successful. We're going to walk to the other end of the plaza now. Before we do, did you have any questions?
How many people died building the bridge?
How many people died building the bridge? 11. I'll talk a little bit about why it's, when we're on the bridge, I'll talk a little bit more about why it's only 11, because many more than that were assumed.
So how many people is working?
I'm sorry?
How many people is working for the building this bridge?
You know, I don't know the number of people. That's a good question that I should look up. I'm sorry, I don't know that. Let's walk to the other end of the plaza.